6 children are without a mother tonight after a brutal homicide in Racine.
Right now, police and U.S. Marshals are searching for the woman's suspected killer, who police say is armed and dangerous. The chief talked with our Aaron Maben earlier today. He's live in Racine with the story.
At 5:30 a.m. on April 24th, 2022, in Racine, Wisconsin, a doorbell camera captured a chilling scene. Terry Jackson, a cold-blooded killer, led Brittany Booker, a 30-year-old mom of 6, out of her home like a lamb to slaughter. His voice, eerily calm, said, "Go." Blood stained her 2-year-old daughter's pajamas, a silent scream in the dawn stillness, as the toddler slept beside her mom. This moment will haunt anyone who sees it. Brittany, a nursing school graduate, should have been making breakfast for her kids. Instead, she was dragged into darkness by a monster she barely knew. How does a devoted mom, whose home was a fortress of love, become prey to a predator? The answer lies in one act of kindness that turned deadly. Her 6 kids, aged 2 to 13, slept soundly, unaware their mom would never return. That morning, blood splattered her bed, her floor, telling a story of brutal abduction. Jackson didn't smash doors or break windows. He slithered in like a shadow, using fear to force compliance. What did Brittany do to deserve this? She tried to save a friend from a violent ex. In Jackson's twisted world, compassion was a death sentence. This isn't just a murder story. It's a wake-up call about a broken system, about good people crushed by unchecked evil. Brittany didn't deserve to pay with her life for her kindness. As you hear this, ask yourself, could this have been stopped? Join me in the shadows of crime to uncover why Brittany's light was snuffed out and why her story must be told. Where are you listening from today? Drop your city in the comments to let Brittany's voice echo across America. Brittany Booker wasn't just a single mom raising 6 kids. She was a wildfire of warmth, a 30-year-old who conquered nursing school while juggling bedtime stories and late-night study sessions. Her Racine, Wisconsin home was a sanctuary where her 5 boys and 1 girl's laughter drowned out the world's chaos. Brittany didn't just care for her kids. She drove friends' kids to school, held them through tears, and asked for nothing in return. "Brittany would do anything for you," her cousin Shamika Boyan said, voice breaking. Her smile could melt worries away. What made Brittany shine wasn't just her heart, it was her grit. Graduating nursing school was a triumph of sacrifice. Studying after tucking 6 kids in, balancing textbooks with hugs. She dreamed of a career healing others, just as she healed her community. Among her tight-knit group of single-mom friends, Brittany was the rock. They knew each other's struggles, but Brittany stood out as the one you could always count on. When a friend was drowning, Brittany didn't pray from afar. She showed up. She didn't weigh risks or expect rewards. If someone needed her, she was there. That's why she became Terry Jackson's target. Her brightest light, her selflessness, drew her into his darkness. Her kids, from a 2-year-old toddler to a 13-year-old teen, were her universe. Every choice she made was for them. But she couldn't turn her back on a friend trapped in domestic violence. Brittany was a symbol of unconditional love, of courage in the face of hardship. In a world where evil lurks, her kindness sparked a tragedy beyond imagination. Who in your life is like Brittany, that friend who drops everything to help, no matter the wish to us? Her story begs the question, are we doing enough to protect people like her? Terry Jackson Jr. was a beast in human skin, a predator forged in a furnace of violence for over 2 decades. At 42, his rap sheet was a highway to hell, littered with drug busts, assaults, and a string of violent crimes. Since 1998, he'd left broken bones and shattered lives across Racine, Wisconsin, and beyond. He wasn't just a criminal. He was a walking red flag factory, a living threat the justice system kept letting slip through. For Jackson, control was oxygen. Losing it was a death sentence he'd inflict on anyone who dared defy him. When his ex-girlfriend tried to leave, he didn't let go. In his warped mind, she was property, and anyone helping her was an enemy. Brittany Booker, who had no beef with him, became a target just for standing by her friend. Jackson didn't act on impulse. He was calculated, always armed, box cutters, hammers, like violence was his pulse. He knew how to manipulate, threaten, and silence with fear. "I'll slice you from ear to ear," he told his ex, words that chilled the blood. The system had countless chances to stop him. 20 years of crimes from battery to death threats, yet Jackson walked free. Judges signed warrants, cops filed reports, but he kept roaming. He wasn't a mastermind. He just knew the system was too slow, too apathetic. To him, he was untouchable, a king of violence no one could touch. When Brittany crossed his path, she didn't face a man. She faced a machine of destruction, fueled by society's failures. He didn't care that she was a mom, a friend, a hero. To him, she was an obstacle to crush. This story will make you wonder, why was a monster like Jackson free for so long? How did the system fail so badly to let him hunt the innocent? Stick with me, because this darkness is only beginning to unfold. Brittany Booker never hesitated when a friend was hurting. In Racine, Wisconsin in February 2022, she learned her friend was trapped in a violent relationship with Terry Jackson. Brittany didn't just offer words or prayers, she acted. She saw her friend drowning in a sea of abuse and dove in to save her, no questions asked. That choice was the spark of a tragedy that would burn everything down. Brittany had no history with Jackson. She wasn't his ex, his rival, or his enemy. She was just a 30-year-old mom, a loyal friend who stood up to evil. But her compassion, the brightest part of her soul, rang a dinner bell for a predator. In Jackson's sick mind, anyone helping his ex escape his grip was a target. Brittany didn't know her kindness painted a bullseye on her back. Jackson's ex lived in a nightmare, isolated, terrified, tiptoeing around a man whose rage could erupt any second. When she mustered the courage to leave, Jackson responded with violence. Not because he loved her, but because he owned her. Brittany, with her open heart, became her friend's shield, her ally, ready to face danger for her freedom. She didn't calculate that Jackson had spent over 20 years perfecting violence, that he never let go of what he claimed. Her act was pure selflessness, but it was also a challenge to a monster. Brittany didn't think about consequences. She saw someone in need and stepped up. That was who she was, a woman who put others first. But in a world where evil knows no bounds, her goodness became an invitation to disaster. This story will make you question, would you risk everything to help someone in danger? Brittany did, and it cost her everything. As you listen on, you'll see how this act of kindness led to a blood-soaked attack, a moment where fear and violence turned an ordinary day into a living nightmare. Stay with me, because Brittany's story is proof that compassion, though noble, can lead you straight into the storm. On February 27, 2022, a regular day in Racine, Wisconsin, turned into a blood-soaked nightmare when Terry Jackson attacked Brittany Booker and her friend with a hammer. He didn't choose a gun or a knife. He picked a tool meant for building to destroy human lives, a sick symbol of his brutality. Brittany, the 30-year-old mom of 6, was there to help her friend retrieve belongings from a house that had been her prison. She brought her 2-year-old daughter, thinking Jackson was gone. But when her friend called him about her stuff, it was like waving a red flag at a bull. Jackson showed up, hammer in hand, eyes blazing with murderous intent. He attacked his ex first, but Brittany didn't stand by. Shielding her toddler and trying to dial 911, she became his next target. The hammer crashed into the back of her head, the force nearly killing her. Blood poured like a river, but Brittany fought on, clutching her daughter, running toward a neighbor's house for help. "I'm gonna kill you," Jackson snarled, each swing of the hammer carrying his death promise. The two women, bloodied and broken, staggered to a nearby bar. Cops found Brittany collapsed, blood streaming from her head, and her friend with a slashed, battered face. This wasn't an accident. It was attempted murder in broad daylight, with witnesses and evidence everywhere. Yet Jackson vanished right after. No handcuffs, no jail cell. He melted into thin air, leaving Brittany and her friend in terror. Brittany survived, but the scars weren't just physical. She knew Jackson was still out there, his threat echoing in her mind. This attack was a screaming alarm the justice system ignored. A man with 20 years of violent crimes who just tried to kill 2 women should have been locked up instantly. Instead, he was free, and Brittany became a hunted animal. This story will make you furious. How could a monster like Jackson just walk away? Keep listening, because for 2 months after this, Brittany lived in a personal hell, and Jackson's shadow grew closer every day. For 2 months after the hammer attack, from late February to mid-April 2022, Brittany Booker lived like a caged animal in Racine, Wisconsin. The 30-year-old mom, once a beacon of strength, jumped at every shadow, checked locks obsessively, and sprinted from her car to her house like her life depended on it. Terry Jackson, the man who smashed a hammer into her skull, was still free, slipping through states with help from accomplices. Brittany knew he was out there, his promise, "I'm gonna kill you," hanging over her like a guillotine. Her 6 kids, aged 2 to 13, watched their mom unravel. They didn't understand why she was scared, why she hugged them tighter, why her eyes dimmed. Brittany tried to keep life normal, school drop-offs, bedtime stories, but fear ate her alive. She wondered, was helping her friend worth this price? But it wasn't her fault. It was the system's failure. Jackson was shielded by Carmelita Walker, who gave him a car, Alicia Sykes, who opened her home, and Diamond Hood, who mapped his escape. These weren't family or lovers. They knew he'd tried to kill 2 women, yet they helped him. The justice system, with stacks of warrants and reports, let Jackson roam for 8 weeks. He wasn't a genius. He just knew the system was too sluggish, too indifferent. In Texas, he lived like a king, laughing at the law, while Brittany was a prisoner in her own life. She didn't just fear for herself, but for her kids, especially her 2-year-old, who'd been there when the hammer fell. Every day, Brittany blamed herself, but she never gave up. She stayed a mom, a friend, a hero. This story will make you wonder, how could anyone endure such terror? But Jackson's shadow was closing in, and his 2 months of freedom were the runway for his final, deadly strike. Stay with me, because on April 24th, the monster came back, and this time he didn't miss. On April 24th, 22, at 5:30 a.m., Racine, Wisconsin was cloaked in darkness. Terry Jackson, the monster who'd hunted Brittany Booker for 2 months, returned to keep his death promise. He crept into her home, where her 6 kids slept, and confronted Brittany as she lay beside her 2-year-old daughter. Blood stained her bed, her floor, and her toddler's pajamas, marks of a brutal abduction. Jackson forced Brittany into her own car, making her drive through familiar streets with a gun to her head. For hours she drove, passing places filled with her kids' laughter, parks, stores, schools, now tainted by terror. Jackson wasn't rushed. He wanted Brittany to feel the fear, to know death was coming. He used her as bait, hunting his ex-girlfriend, turning Brittany into a pawn in his rage. She might have thought about crashing the car or screaming for help, but with 6 kids waiting at home, she couldn't risk it. Finally, near 13th and Villa Streets, just blocks from her house, Jackson struck. One bullet, execution style, tore through Brittany's head as she sat in the driver's seat. He left her there, blood pooling, and vanished like a ghost. Brittany, the 30-year-old mom, the community's hero, was gone forever. Her 6 kids woke to a nightmare. Her 13-year-old son found blood where his mom should have been. Her 2-year-old, with bloodied pajamas, didn't know why mommy wasn't there. Cops arrived, finding evidence of a calculated killing. This wasn't a burst of anger. It was the climax of 2 months of freedom the system gifted Jackson. He thought he was untouchable, that he'd won. But Brittany's death was the spark that ignited a relentless manhunt. This story will break your heart. A mom stolen because she dared to help. Don't turn away. Keep listening, because justice, though late, is coming, and Brittany's story won't end in darkness. After Brittany Booker's murder, Racine, Wisconsin, became a battleground for justice. Terry Jackson, who shot Brittany execution style on April 24th, 22, thought he could vanish like before. He was wrong. The death of a 30-year-old mom, a nursing grad, a hero, sparked a manhunt across 5 states: Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Texas, Arizona. Local cops and federal marshals teamed up, vowing Jackson wouldn't slip away again. He'd been a ghost after the hammer attack, aided by accomplices, but now every eye was on him. For nearly a month, Jackson moved like a specter, hopping cities, using tricks that kept him free before. But the pressure mounted. His helpers, Carmelita Walker, Alicia Sykes, Diamond Hood, faced federal charges for hiding a killer. Aiding an assaulter is one thing. Shielding a murderer brings a firestorm. On May 26, 2022, in Chicago, Jackson's luck ran dry. Marshals cornered him, no escape. Armed and ready to fight, he faced overwhelming force and surrendered. His reign of terror collapsed. He was hit with 23 charges: first-degree murder, kidnapping, assault, and more. A $10 million bond and life without parole loomed if convicted. But this justice was too late for Brittany. She'd lived in fear, hunted, and died because the system didn't catch Jackson sooner. The manhunt was a victory, but a bitter one. Brittany's 6 kids were still motherless. Racine still grieved. This story will make you wonder, why did it take a death for the system to act? Stay with me, because the pain of Brittany's family and the community's cry will show why this story must change everything. Brittany Booker's death on April 24, 2022, left Racine, Wisconsin, with a wound that won't heal. A 30-year-old mom, a nursing grad, a community hero, was taken because she helped a friend. Her 6 kids, aged 2 to 13, lost the heart of their world. Her 13-year-old son woke to blood instead of his mom. Her 2-year-old, in blood-stained pajamas, couldn't grasp why mommy was gone. Racine fell to its knees, lighting candles at vigils where flickers fought the darkness of grief. Brittany's dad, Leonard Larry, became the voice of a family's pain. She lived in fear every day, he said, voice cracking with rage and sorrow. He didn't just mourn his daughter. He demanded answers from a system that let Jackson roam free after the hammer attack. Brittany survived that, gave cops everything, did it all right, yet she died. Her cousin Shamika Boyan sobbed, "It's not fair. She didn't deserve this." She ended every talk with, "I love you." Those simple words carried a broken heart's weight. Racine rallied, but they were angry. Brittany wasn't a statistic. She was the mom who made her home a haven, the friend who showed up, the woman who earned her nursing degree while raising 6 kids. Her death forced a truth. Good people aren't always protected, and evil sometimes wins. Her kids, now with grandparents, face a void no one can fill. Racine asks, how did this happen? Why was Jackson free so long? This story will hurt, but it'll also fire you up. Brittany should be here, hugging her kids, healing patients, living her dream. Keep listening, because her legacy isn't just pain. It's a call to build a world where heroes like Brittany are safe. Brittany Booker wasn't just a victim. She was a flame that can't be extinguished. A 30-year-old mom who gave everything for compassion. Her death on April 24, 2022 in Racine, Wisconsin, screams that our system for protecting domestic violence victims is broken. She helped a friend escape Terry Jackson, and it cost her life. Her 6 kids grow up without her, but Brittany's legacy demands action. First, law enforcement must move faster. Jackson, with 20 years of crimes, was free for 2 months after attacking Brittany with a hammer. He vowed to kill her, yet no one stopped him. This can't happen again. Second, victims need real protection. Brittany deserved a safe house, regular police check-ins, not a life of checking locks and jumping at noises. Instead, she was left to survive alone. Third, accomplices must face harsh consequences. Carmelita Walker, Alicia Sykes, and Diamond Hood helped Jackson hide. They knew he was dangerous, yet aided him. This can't be a slap on the wrist. Finally, we must teach communities that domestic violence isn't private. It spreads like poison, killing heroes like Brittany who dare to help. Her lesson: compassion is power, but it needs protection. She's a light that won't fade, and we must keep it burning by demanding change. Share her story. Comment your city to let Brittany's voice ring out. Support local domestic violence groups. Her death must mean something. It must change how we shield those who stand up. Will you be part of that change? Act now for Brittany, her 6 kids, and every unsung hero who needs us. This story doesn't end here. It starts with you.